welcome back to the channel. FUBAR here. I'm sorry for the little bit of delay. If I sound nasally, it's because I'm sick and I'm starting to get over it. My voice might be cutting in and out, and you won't hear the coughs because I'll cut them out of the video. But today we are talking about priority officers. This is completely my opinion, and who are musts and who are busts. So let's get into it. So all priority officers to me are defensive officers that buff up your base. So we're going to talk about Vox. Vox is an absolute must. Thorn Countess, again, an absolute must. And we're Steel Fighter, another absolute must. Now, we're going to keep going down. Uncle, another absolute must. And we're going to go right back up to the top. We're looking for Golden Eagle, another absolute must. Hands down, one of the best officers in the game, actually, in my opinion. Now we're gonna before we start. These are all defensive officers that are absolute must-haves, and I feel that these are the very best officers that you must have in the game. Other officers that are must-haves. I'm gonna go through this list right now with you. Is gonna be War Machine. You can get him for free by just doing your weekly by redeeming his tokens or officer statues from the Alliance store. Antonia Trichenko because she provides that one extra map grid. She's from the start of the game when the game very first launched and is still relevant to this day. If you're running a helicopter, Valkyrie is a must. She's also good on MBT and light, so she is very good. Now, we're not going to talk about Guardian of Truth because he is a pay to win officer. He is good if you want to pay to have him, but if you're not, then don't do it. Tip of Spear, absolute must if on defense. And the reason why is because he will always keep Vox's skill when paired together active. It will always be active. It will always be ongoing. And that is huge. Also, he will buff the troops in base with his tactical skill. But in the field, I feel that he lacks a lot. So therefore, must for base, not for field. Unless you're running infantry, because there's a lot of interesting combinations you could do with him with infantry. But need I say more? Spanner is not. He's kind of a bust now because healing doesn't really work that well because the units do so much damage. Saber of the Nation, he is not a must, but he's an exclusive lounge officer. He takes forever to awaken. I tell you right now, there is better choices in there in the exclusive lounge than Saber of the Nation. Percy, you're going to get her for free, but she's not viable after your level 3 city. Must, if you're going to have rerunning infantry, White Wolf, hands down, is still one of the best infantry officers in the game for fighting. Bloody Mary, complete bust. Only thing that is valuable about her is, in my opinion, is her second skill, which increases troop damage. Winter Huntsman, I still see him being used, but he is kind of a bust for me. Lady Justice, a versatile officer that is a must if you're running a light tank or heli. She's a very flexible officer to be put on either one of those. She could also be used on MBT, arguably. Argent Flame, absolute must for artillery, especially if you're going to be running him with Stinger Fist. And the reason why is because he is just so much damage. It's crazy. And the AoE damage that he does with multiple targets with his tactical skill, absolutely nuts. So you're going to want to have him. Maestro. Now, there's a lot of mixed opinions about him in the community. I feel that he is good for defense and defense only. I wouldn't run him any other way, so he's kind of a bust. Death Adder, bust. Only thing valuable about him is his second skill. Angel of Light. If you're going to be running infantry, I would say she is a must, and only when paired with Everbloom. Eruptor, I'm going to say bust because he just doesn't do enough tactical skill damage. Iron Bastion is a complete entire bust. I mean, everything about him screams bust. He's been bad since he was first released. Do not waste your time. A lot of people like Berserker Bear. He is good for rocket trucks, but he's decent on other artillery, but he is not necessary. Now, Eye of Providence is a definitely an absolute must if you are into base to base. This guy melts bases quicker than anything, especially if he's paired with Antonina or Lady Liberty. Bomb Princess, I feel she's a bust. She does have some skills that could be used in the skill tab system, so it's not a complete loss. Tiger Marauder, complete bust unless he's awakened. Whipcracker, must if you're running her with Guardian of Truth. In my opinion, she is very good when paired with Guardian of Truth, but she has to also again be awakened to fully capitalize on that. Warrior Wiz, a lot of people like him when running a light or MBT, and I've seen him on a few helis actually. I personally don't like him, but you guys get to decide that one. I don't think he's a must. I think he's kind of bust. He does have some good skills, especially with his specials, so it's not a complete loss. If, like I said before, if you are running infantry and you are tanking bases or base to basing, you definitely want Everbloom. She is a must. If you're running a light, you're going to want Rapier, a definite must. He is like the critical chance king. Lonesome Star. A lot of people have given me mixed reviews about him, but when paired with White Wolf, the AoE damage is insane on an infantry unit. So I would say he's a must if you're running infantry and you're just field fighting with that unit. Svalin. I kind of think he's a bust because his awakened skill only really influences super heavy tanks, and I still don't see super heavy tanks being relevant or ever be coming back to being relevant in the near future. Uncle, we already covered him. Absolute must. Stinger Fist, absolute must. This dude is a powerhouse. He's one of the most recent officers dropped, and I tell you right now, he buffs your base damage. Base damage resist. He does AoE damage. He's perfectly paired with Argent Flame. You can use him on the ATG or even a for any artillery unit, and he will just decimate. Now, Herald of Peace is one of the newest officers for infantry, and honestly, I don't like him. I like his backstory, but I don't like him. I just don't feel like he would be relevant. He may be relevant if paired together with Tip of Spear, but I don't have that data, so I can't really rate this officer. Now, I'm going to quickly go over ground force officers right now, and I'm going to give you my opinions on which ones are must and which ones are bust. Lady Liberty, must, and also Red Heat. And I would, if you're going to pay for it, I would recommend Lord of Order and also Steel Phoenix. I really don't like Professor Payne because he's a little squishy. I feel for an officer. He makes your unit a little bit squishier. He is an absolute juggernaut as far as dealing out damage, but I feel Lord of Order and Steel Phoenix will provide you more survivability and deal a good amount of damage. Now, the reason why I said Red Heat and Lady Liberty, because 90% of the players here are free to play, you gonna want to get Lady Liberty because she's the second and only other officer other than Antonina that provides a fifth map grid when using like a howitzer. Quick note, just for a little fun fact, if you're trying to stack Antonina and Lady Liberty on an RL, it does not work. It does not go to 5 grids. So don't waste your time. But Lady Liberty, when paired with Saber of the Nation or also friggin' Eye of Providence, absolute machine. Even Argent Flame or Stinger Fist. Red Heat, on the other hand, I feel is more of a defensive officer that is really good when paired with Maestro. And as a free to play player, going after exclusive lounge officers, I need to have long-term investments, and I feel artillery officers will hold their investment, and as far as like awakening them over time. Now, without further ado, we're going to hop over to the Air Force. Now, Bladewing, absolute workhorse for fighter planes. I would recommend him. I also recommend Polar Phantom. Those two are an absolute must. They work good together, but actually, Bladewing would actually work better with, in my opinion, with Silver Comet, and Polar Phantom would work better with Nagarami. Now, there's that's two pairings right there I would recommend, and all those officers I feel are musts. Now, when you come down here to bombers, El Cartero is a must, and so is Inferno. If you want to just go ham on a Martyr bomber, I feel this is a very awesome pairing. But this is, in my opinion, not the best pairing anymore, but they're still musts if you want to run multiple bombers. Lone Eagle, the newest bomber officer, is an absolute beast. He is a must if you're going to be running one bomber. This is the pairing I'm going to recommend to you, and that's going to be with Rising Star. He is also a must. Together, these guys are going to reduce your bombing intervals, so you're going to be in and out really fast, and it's completely worth the investment there. Now, if you look here, Witcher, I would awaken her because you can awaken her free to play just by going into your L4 and buying her statues through the Conquest Store. That's what I'm doing. But she's not a must. She's kind of a bust, but she does have valuable skills. Heaven Savior, valuable skills for skill training, but absolute bust. Brisk Eagle, still a very popular officer today, but I feel she's irrelevant, so I would give her a bust. Even all her skills are kind of cliche and don't really bring a lot of value, such as a firepower buff when you can get a damage buff. Not really that great, in my opinion. Golden Pixie. A lot of content creators like Golden Pixie because she provides an extra bombing run, but in realistic cases, that would be only really relevant if you're bombing a base, which I don't really see many people doing anymore. So I think she's bust. I think her skills are more valuable than her being awakened. Wings of Glory, bust. He's one of your very first fighter plane officers you ever get in the game, but he just isn't good at all. Do not invest in him unless you're investing in his skills. That is the only thing that would be considered valuable. Rictus Reaper, do not get this officer in the exclusive lounge unless you're doing like Liberty Bomber and you're bombing bases with it. It's not worth it at all. The only skill here I see that would be considered somewhat valuable is his force skill, where he can regenerate HP. If you're running like a Vanguard bomber or a Martyr bomber, and you possibly might run into some slight fighter plane interference or ATG interference, this will help you keep your health up, and you're not going to lose as many units. But now on to Darkwing. Darkwing, if you have already acquired all of the artillery bombers, in my opinion, I mean not artillery bombers, artillery officers in ground force for the exclusive lounge, or you're free to play and you just finished an officer and you really want to start investing in your Air Force, I recommend Darkwing for your fighter plane. This dude is an absolute beast, and I slept on him. When he first came out, I thought he was not that good, but I was misunderstanding his skills. Looking back, he's actually really, really freaking good, and I would pair him with Bladewing or Polar Phantom or Nagarani or Silver Comet. Any one of those, he will be an absolute potent machine. So he is an absolute must. So guys, I again apologize for the delay in content. If you guys liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, we have support two Discords here. We got FUBAR's Lounge and Warpath Lounge. The links will be in the description down below. Also, guys, check out my TikTok. That is going to be in the description down below as well. I post a little bit of shorts there every now and then. It would be helpful to me if you guys went over there and showed some love. This is FUBAR. I got your six. Peace.